I'm standing before you, clinging to that hope. The labor union and rights.
Just deceiving yourself, because that does not improve productivity. It does not improve the quantity of goods that you have available within the economy. This is just to break it down in a layman's language. So that is a major problem that we had faced, and that is also the main reason where we are battling with inflation, unemployment, and all the headwinds that we are dealing with.
All right, that was Governor Alex Oti talking about, the free fall of all those inflation. As some people have said, this is a valuable submission to the conversation. Then the question now is, how come we're now blaming Binance for the free fall of the Naira?
The truth is, whether we like it or not, some have blamed the Binance for it, and some are saying Binance should not even be held responsible. The inflation we've seen, the devaluation of the Naira is not even part of their problem. It's what some of the policies of the federal government. I think, we need to have a holistic look at our financial policies in this country, especially the ways and means, because this is one issue, or whether we like it or not, this has direct implication on the average Nigerian, because ways and means problem did not even start now. It started especially during President Buhari's time, where President Buhari, even borrowed from the CBN more than the revenue that the country generated in a particular year, which is even against the CBN Act. According to the CBN Act, you should borrow at least 5% of your revenue. And we saw President Buhari overshooting, in subsequent years, especially 2020, by over 100%. So these are some policies we need to look at. The CBN needs to look at them, probe them, and find a lasting solution to this problem as a country.
All right, in Kaduna State, some residents of the state have gone out to protest that if the government can protect them, that they will protect themselves. This particular resident of Goningora in Kaduna State, he decries the constant attacks of bandits in their area. His name is Kinsley Undubisi. Let's hear what he had to say.
My name is or they legalize gun. If the national government cannot protect us, if Nigeria cannot protect us, we can protect ourselves. We are not living here until the governor comes. That is my submission. My name is Kingsley Ndubisi, and I'm White Lion. That is my name. I am not scared of anybody. This is our land. Golingora is our area. We are not scared of anybody. We are not scared of anybody. We want them tomorrow. They should come tomorrow. We are waiting for them.
Because this will also help us protect ourselves. We have seen that so far. It seems that our security architecture has been overwhelmed because they are fighting, insurgency on all fronts, kidnapping, banditry, one chance even here in the FCT, and all of it. So it seems like it is now becoming so draining for our security operatives, and that's why Nigerians are now calling for, legalizing arms. But that one on his own part also has his own downside. In the US, they are still dealing with proliferation of arms.
Exactly.
And this one is guns that are even licensed to, that people are now using to shoot sporadically. So it has its own downside. But when you look at it, you try as much as possible to see if the downsides outweigh the positive side or not, and then see how to find a way around it.
All right. This has been Who Says What on the Front Page Review. We'll be back in just a moment to be joined by El-Rufai Saini to help us do justice to the front page headlines, and then at 8 o'clock we'll be joined by Mr. Larry Ogrego, who's standing by. Keep it locked.
Bye there.
Inakwana.
Good morning.
Ilahiala.
Ekaro.
Obohia.
Good morning.
Mewo.
Edio. Tutuama. Heideo.
Good morning.
Rise and shine. This is the morning ride. We have got an action-packed day ahead with headlines, sports, business, great conversation. Start your day right with VOP's Morning Ride. Weekdays from 5 a.m. Good morning. Good morning.
It's thrilling, controversial, heated, thought-provoking. Catch Rufai Oseni.
Came here to misrepresent the facts today as regards subsidy removal.
Kesire Aqua.
Report was that $9 billion is lost yearly to illegal mining.
And Simeon Sunday.
If you know something of this nature is happening within your community, why didn't you raise an alarm?
On the Frontpage Review. Weekdays at 7:15 a.m. Now, you have a voice.
You're welcome back. This is still the Front Page Review, right here on Voice of the People. We just had a great conversation right there on who said what, listening to the call out or throw a jibe at the labor unions, and also the governor of Abia State, Alex Otis, speaking on some of the challenges and the causes of inflation in the country. And finally, we talked about the protest in Kaduna, and that is one story we will be hammering on this morning right here on the Front Page Review with El-Rufai Oseni once he joins the conversation in a moment. My name is Simeon Sunday.
Gisiri Agua. Good morning.
Remember, you can join us on YouTube. The YouTube page is Voice of the People Abuja. Voice of the People Abuja on YouTube. So feel free to join the conversation and let's get talking.
All right. Good morning to you, El-Rufai. Thank you so much for joining us. Good morning. You're welcome. Okay, quickly, let's get straight to the headlines. Let's start with the statement of the president at first before we even move on to other things. We saw the president throw a jibe at labor unions, saying protesting in just 9 months is unacceptable. They should give him more time.
I think the president's speech is very insensitive to the sufferings of Nigerians, because labor doesn't just protest. They are reacting to the sufferings of workers and Nigerians. And the president making all of this about politics is a reflection of the fact that he doesn't even understand the pain in the land. Nobody's talking about 2027. You need to be able to make people feed first before they get to 2027. I think what is really not good is the federal government's insensitivity. The federal government failing on its promises, and the federal government putting a lot of people in a penury with their ill thought out decision. I think that is what is not right. And that's what the president should fix at first before he talks about, striking 4 months, 7 months, not right. But this was the same him that led civil society to strike under Jonathan. That was right. You can see the hypocrisy, how writ large. They want to dish it, but they can't take it.
Now let's look at the statement of the word for word. What he said or in
strike or the end. Hang on a minute, let me finish.
Okay. The line of I thought you were done. Go ahead. Sorry.
Let me finish, please. Yeah. So, what's it called? Having the country shut down for the first 14 days in the new year when they pulled out something in 20. So that's what is it called? That's not. That's very right. It was right for him to give them, but now that's the same document because it's wrong. So it's the hypocrisy that I see.
Okay, so now let's look at the president's statement word for word. He said something about labor unions, and he said if they want to talk about politics, they should wait till 2027. So presidents, insinuating that there could be some form of collaboration between labor unions and possibly Muslim political party, because it seems like it's now insinuating that Labour Party, is pushing this as well.
I think the president is reflecting his own high level of insensitivity to the plight and the suffering. sorry, were the demands, go and check the demands of Labour, were they about 2027 elections? So I don't even know how 2027 elections even comes into this conversation. I don't even understand the logic of 2027 now. People are protesting wage award, ENG, other things like that, making life better for people. And 2027, I mean, you know, as I was saying, when you kill it, make it. I mean, what's going on here? I mean, what's really going on here? So he's politicizing everything. And when people don't have solutions to problems, they politicize. They throw sentiments around. And that's exactly what he's doing. All I thought he would have said, you know what, this and all of that. I have a lot of plans in the pipeline and things like that. And I want that to, you know, resonate with Labour. We're going to solve all this problem with the sanitary. Correct.
All right, let's move on to Kaduna, where residents are protesting kidnapping and blocked the Kaduna Abuja highway yesterday. I mean, some residents of Ningora in Chikun local government area of Kaduna State, they barricaded the Kaduna Abuja expressway. They were protesting the abduction of unspecified number of people in the area. And according to eyewitnesses on Wednesday night, individuals attacked the community, different individuals in that particular community. Mr. El-Rufai, at this point, when are we going to see the of kidnapping? Is it even possible?
I think so that I think.
Hello.
Yeah, hello.
All right, we'll try to reconnect with El-Rufai at this point. Network has been good today.
Really amazing. Well, feel free, while we connect to him, feel free to join the conversation on YouTube at Voice of the People 991. Voice of the People Abuja, I beg your pardon, on YouTube. Go there, drop a comment as well. Let's hear your 2 cents on any of the headlines you find interesting this morning. And remember, you can also call us up via the 0700 010 961 961 010 961 961. So by the studio number, send us a message or a voice note.
Hello?
Welcome
Can
back.
you hear me?
Yes, welcome back, Mr. El-Rufai.
So those are the things really focused on. The things like kidnapping, rather than fighting Labour, making life miserable for Labour. I'm sure you heard what the Labour leader said yesterday, that we won't threaten not to go on the second day of protest. So rather than fighting Labour, these are the issues you should really solve. You see, leadership is to be able to solve problems. As a leader, if you can't solve problems, there's nothing. Because you see, the truth is, leadership is dispositional. It's not positional. What we fail to realize is that we focus so more on positional leadership. There are so many companies that it is the gatekeeper that is the CEO. Honestly, CEO is just there as a positional leader, and in a matter of time, things will be revealed. Because the man that really coerces everybody together, has a sense of reason, is the man that the character, his sense of sensitivity, and his understanding of the rights of people. He may not be able to do much, but at some point he will be discovered and he will go through the ladder. So that's what we are saying. What is the two problems? How do you solve the problem? I mean, these are problems of insecurity and all of that we expect the president not to solve. These are the real problems,
All right, we have, at this point in time, still talking about security, we have Senator Ned Woko, the senator representing Delta North. He was talking about the fact that Nigerians should be allowed to carry arms. This is born out of desperation for self-protection and all.
I don't support that too.
Oh, okay, so now the truth is,
go ahead. I don't support that.
What should we now do at this point where it seems like security is overwhelmed?
Bolster security. We're talking about the option of a state police. Bolster that. You need more boots on the ground. When you go and check the United Nations quota for police to citizens ratio, we have a very poor number. Bolster that. Pick the security architecture. If you want areas of security and give them appropriate training and all of that, and provide a preventive level of security. But when you say everybody should carry guns, it's a return to anarchy. It's a return to anarchy because you see, I feel discontent with you. I will come and I will use my gun against you. And that's why you see, look at gun violence in places like America. Although you can also balance the argument and say, okay, Switzerland has a lot of gun per capita and all of that. There's no gun violence there and everything. But hey, you must also look at the economic situation of Switzerland pervasively and the cultural antecedents of the people. The culture is not as, open and far-fetched as that in America. Yeah, there's a lot of freedom too in Switzerland, but the mindset is not like that in America. You can't compare poverty rate and things. So there are many factors you should look at. And that's why you should be careful. In a country where Boko Haram is already carrying guns and slaughtering people, give everybody access to carry guns. There's going to be problems.
Okay. Anyway,
but people have licensed firearms in this country, so I don't know what Ned Woke was also asking for again. People have licensed firearms. The authorities, I think it's the police people and other people can sign it up. People get firearms in this country. So,
but it seems like it's those in certain level of cadre of the society that
it's not certain level of cadre. It's not certain. You don't need to be high up there. That's false. You don't need to be high up there. Not certain cadre. It's not certain cadre. Simon, I've told you that's false. It's not certain cadre. You don't need to be high up there. There are requirements that people have to meet. I think it has to be a hunting gun certain certification, and people go through the rung of the ladder and they get the license. It's not about the society.
Okay. All right, Rufai. Yesterday we had customs seizing about 1.7 billion worth of fake drugs in Oyo, Osun State. At this point in time, this is a lot. It's a lot that we're dealing with. We can't be dealing with inflation and then be dealing with fake drugs, because a lot of people have been complaining about the fact that when you're taking drugs for malaria, it's not as effective because you still feel sick even after completing your doses. So could this be one of the situation of fake drugs in the country?
So, a couple of things. I think one, the drug system should also be tied to the hospital system. Out of pharmaceutical drug should be looked into, because that's where the problem lies. Because at least if you get your pills from the hospital, then you should be able to have a certain level of regulation. NAFDAC should also to do their work effectively. Thirdly, you should also put technology in place. I think there was a Ghanaian company a couple of years about called Sproxil that has like a scratch card pin at the back of some drug. I don't know if they still do it till date. That you can scratch and they'll send you a message. You send a message to a certain number, they'll determine if the drug is fake or not. I think we can still do methods like that. But it's just about awareness, NAFDAC, and the value chain of drugs in the ecosystem. But also, we should also now look at the possibility of building our own pharmaceutical sector here. Those are the things we should look at.
Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about the El-Rufai report, where we've got a report that the House of Reps have now raised, a 23-man panel to, review parts of this particular report. And this is also coming off, from the statement of Wole Soyinka in celebrating Punch at 50, where he actually said most confabs that brought about certain reports were actually done to pacify Nigerians. They were deceitful, not really to prefer a solution to Nigerians. What do you have to say about that?
We need to be intentional about these things. We need to have real conversations about the future of the country and see how we want to pan out. And Wole Soyinka was right in many of the things he said. So it's just about looking inward in the first place and seeing what we can truly do, because we need to know how this country will move forward. We can't keep running this system where it's slanted towards some people and they think they can get everything. And the House looking at the report, let's see, because the report already is obsolete. So we need to be able to look at it with the intention of a review. But I think cost of governance is also cultural. And hence my constant argument against anything is because you cannot say, and sorry, I'll have to go now, guys, because I'm still in the studio. You cannot say that, morning. You cannot say that, that this report all of a sudden will be implemented when you have a government that went ahead to get 45 ministers in place in the first place. So it's also a cultural thing. cutting costs is also has to be a cultural implication to it, and it's a mindset thing. So if we want to get it right, we need to learn to do it right. We need to learn to start cutting costs here and there, even with disappointment.
All right,
guys, I have to leave you now. All right, thank you so much. Bless you guys for your time.
All right, have a wonderful day.
Yeah, have a wonderful.
Okay, we just had to let El-Rufai go. Busy morning, I guess. This is still the front page review right here on Voice of the People 96.1 FM. Feel free to join the conversation on YouTube. As we say, Voice of the People Abuja is the YouTube page. Just go there, subscribe, drop a comment, and let us know what you think about the headlines we are discussing this morning right here on the show.
All right, let's go ahead and pay some bills. We'll be back in just a moment, joined by Mr. Larry Oguego. Keep it locked.
Voice of the People, 96.1 FM.
The Week in Review, a recap of all the big headlines and stories of the week. Saturdays at 8 a.m. only on VOP 96.1 FM. Now you have a voice.
We have been serving you hot and fresh content on radio, and you have been loving it. Now we're taking it further. Catch us live on YouTube at BOP TV for all the juicy content you can't resist. Talk shows, exclusive interviews, news, lifestyle, and more. It's all about you. BOP TV, show up, speak up.
Are you aware that Iruka Online Limited installed and designed a 100,000 capacity church building? Oh yeah, we are the sole distributors of global leading brands all over the world, such as Wafday Line Array, speakers and digital amplifiers, Preseno's digital mixers and studio equipment, Coswell workstations and keyboards, Fender guitars, Mapex drums, Ashdown bass combos, just to mention but a few. We offer flexible payment plan handled by our financial department with 24/7 customer care support system. You can visit our website on www.iruka.com. To avoid buying fake products, you can also visit our showroom at number 36 Lagos International Airport Road beside Golden Tulip Hotel. Iruka, never settle for less.
Are you traveling to Lagos and desire a perfect getaway?
Look no further than the luxurious accommodations at Airport Golden Tulip Hotel, number 42 Murtala Mohammed International Road, Lagos.
Relax and unwind in our beautiful appointed rooms, featuring all the amenities you need for a comfortable stay.
Now, whether you are traveling for business or pleasure, our attentive staff is here to ensure that your every need is met. We also offer complimentary pick-up and drop from the Lagos airport.
Why not take advantage of our state-of-the-art fitness center, outdoor pool, and enjoy a delicious meal at our on-site restaurant?
With stunning views, world-class service, and a prime location, Airport Golden Tulip Hotel is the perfect choice for your next vacation or business trip.
So why wait? Book your stay today and experience the ultimate in comfort and luxury at Airport Golden Tulip Hotel.
For bookings and reservations, please call 0815-8003-333 or 0815-7003-333. You can visit our website at airportgoldentuliphotel.com.
Airport Golden Tulip Hotel, where luxury meets comfort.
Believe me.
Bye there.
Inakwana. Good morning.
Ilahiala.
Ekaro.
Obohia.
Good morning.
Mewo.
Edio.
Tutuama.
Kedo.
Good morning. Rise and shine. This is the morning ride. We have got an action-packed day ahead with headlines, sports, business, great conversation. Start your day right with VOP's morning ride. Weekdays from 5 a.m. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning and welcome back. This is Front Page Review right here on Voice of the People 96.1 FM, 52 minutes gone past the hour of 7 o'clock. And of course, we are still talking about the headlines making the rounds across the country and also across several newspaper platforms this morning. Welcome back to the show. We just had, a conversation with Rufai Oseni, and of course, our guest, Larry Ogwego, is also standing by right now. Good morning to you, Mr. Larry.
Good morning, Simeon Sunday. Good morning, sir.
Great to have you on the show this morning. A lot of interesting updates in the news this morning, but one that actually caught our attention was the statement of the president, where he actually threw a jibe at the NLC president. Let's hear what you think about it, saying labor unions should not even protest 9 months into his administration, that is totally uncalled for.
The truth is that in the school of life, there is no term, there is no semester, there is no timetable for exams. In the school of life, people respond to things as they happen. So for Mr. President to say we shouldn't demonstrate in 9 months, did he prescribe the timeline for demonstrations in a democracy? Is there any textbook or anywhere it is recommended that you have to wait for 1 year or 2 years before you show that you're hungry, before you show that you cannot travel from point A to point B in your country, before you begin to raise the alarm that things are not just working the way you expected them to work? In fact, the way the president promised when he was campaigning. I don't think it's sensitive for Mr. President to say, that if they want to run elections. I think that he's distracting us from the critical issues. I will say this quickly. There is a governor somewhere in Abia State who has done so well in the short time he has been governor, the same 9 months, that there is hardly any room for criticism. There is hardly any room for criticism. 90% or more of the information we get on Alex is about praise and more praise, accolades and more accolades. The same 9 months. And then there is another president, another man who's a president, who is telling us that if you are hungry, you shouldn't complain. That if you are suffering, you shouldn't talk. Basically because he thinks that we should wait that is not time to talk. No, that's not how it works. I think somebody should remind him that that's not how it works, really. The truth is that he took a position at a time when Nigeria was going down, and he gave us the impression he was going to make things better, and people are expecting that things should be better, and he's not accomplishing that. They have a right to ask him, Oga, what is happening? And that's what Labour is doing. People are not angry because they cannot eat. They are angry because the people who created the problems for us are eating. They are eating well. They are enjoying buffet while people are actually going hungry. We are not angry just because the fuel prices are up. Me personally, I'm angry because the people who increase the fuel prices don't buy fuel. They don't pay for fuel. It's a paradox. I'm not just angry that this country is not secure, that I cannot travel by road anymore. I'm angry more because the people who made the country insecure travel by helicopter and by flight. They don't go through what I have to pass through. I'm not just angry because the way things are working and our roads are very bad. I'm personally angry because the people who made the roads bad appropriated 160 million per person to buy vehicles that can navigate bad roads. And you say we shouldn't talk. Why shouldn't we talk? I think the problem we have is that these guys are too detached from the problem. So they don't even know that we have problems. When you don't buy petrol, you don't spend money on anything we spend money on. When you don't even know, you don't run a budget because everything is done for you free of charge, you won't understand what we feel and why we feel it. So to some extent, we can even exonerate them because we have allowed them to feed so fat on our commonwealth that they don't live in reality anymore. They can tell us these things because they don't feel what we feel.
All right, Mr. Larry, at this point, thank God you mentioned Alex Oti. There's some issue regarding the 5% equity share in the geometric power project, and we're seeing Alex Oti's aides and Ikpeazu's, that's the former governor's aides, they're worrying over Abia's 5% equity shares in the geometric power limited. At this point in time, it was said by the current governor Alex Oti, his aide went out to talk about the fact that they didn't receive any transition paperwork during the transition process. They didn't receive any documents indicating that the state committed any amount of money to the GPP, which was inaugurated by the vice president on behalf of the president. At this point in time, what exactly is going on in that battle?
I think we need to get to that point in this country where we have to develop standard operating procedures for our politicians in doing a lot of things. We've had a lot of stories where people will just get up and walk away from office. Some of them travel even before the handover. Some of the governors and some of the ministers, they just take flight before the handover. Part of the challenge we have is that we don't really have clear rules about how these things should be done. Basically because the rules have been set long ago by society, by that process, that you should do handover notes. But I think we need to get to that point where we have to make it, if for want of a better procedure, a law. That is, we have a legislation that says if you are leaving office, if you are in the following offices, you have to prepare a document containing the following information and documents and hand over to your successor. Because you shouldn't be telling these stories. Unfortunately, we are still telling them. And if you ask me, if you look at this issue between the team of Alex Oti and Ikpeazu, of course, you know who you should believe. In the circumstance, it's obvious that most people, including myself, were inclined to believe what Alex Oti is saying, considering where we are coming with Ikpeazu. But I think the most important thing is that we should begin to think about how to solve this problem of people leaving office without handing over anything to their successors. It affects governance. It's not just about corruption and all of that, or people doing bad transactions and hiding them. It's also about the fact that this person will come in and start groping in the dark. So it's even larger than equity in power transaction. It's about governance. For me, we should address that issue of handover and legislate on it and insist that if you are holding office, you must hand over in writing to your successor, and there should be minimum information in the handover. There should be transition, not just at the presidential and gubernatorial level, but even at the ministerial level, at the MDS level. People should understand that there should be a proper handover, which will enable the next person, like we said in Nigeria, to hit the ground running.
Okay. Quickly, let's move away from that. In fact, it's no longer news. The headline this morning says Tinubu departs for Qatar Business Investment Forum. That is one of the lead headlines across the country this morning. We all know that the president departed Lagos just yesterday on a 2-day official visit to the state of Qatar, where he will be seeing His Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani of the Emir of the state of Qatar. But one thing that Nigerians are very concerned about with the president's visit to Qatar is a 38-man delegate. Some said it is the same president who said gave an official memo asking any individual traveling out of the country to cut down their delegates. But the president is traveling with 38. And another concern for Nigerians is that of the 38, 2 individuals right there are the president's son. That's Yinka and Sheyi. But some other people are defending the president, saying that the president can freely carry his family members or his son along, just like we've seen other world leaders carry their family members along. This is what the media aide, the senior special assistant to the president on digital and new media, Ortega, had to say about Sheyi Tinubu's visit on that particular delegate list with the president. What do you have to say about it?
These are the reasons why people are upset and Labour is demonstrating, and you're saying that they should wait for forever to demonstrate that things are not working. First of all, this is very important. This is very, very important. Walking the talk is critical at this time. Nigerians are not happy. They are not unhappy because they want to be. They are unhappy because things are not just working. And platitudes and motivational speaking will not cut it this time around. We are looking for signs that the government is repositioning the nation. And the major signs should come from the people who are leading us. When the leaders walk the talk for some time, people will actually queue behind them. It's already happening in Abia State. When you demonstrate that you are interested in governance, as a matter of fact, when you give us solutions to our problem, we may not even look at the vehicle you're driving, because you're also solving my own problem. If you need an armored personnel career as a president or governor to solve my problems, and you're solving my problems for all I care, you can drive a armored personnel career. But when you get your armored personnel career, bulletproof SUVs, and you don't solve my own simple problems, then naturally I get upset. Why I'm saying this is because you cannot tell us just a few weeks ago that you have placed a cap on the number of persons that you can travel with, and then just now you are breaking your own rules. It makes you look unserious, Mr. President. That's the problem we have in Nigeria. I don't understand whether they think that we are suffering from total amnesia or partial amnesia, that we won't remember what they said a few minutes ago. I don't understand how these things work. Sometimes I doubt my own sanity, actually, because when I try to analyze this, I wonder, are they really thinking the way I'm thinking? Why should you say something a few weeks ago and you're doing the opposite today? And then to make it even worse, you are not only traveling with a bloated team, you add your 2 adult sons who should be working hard to contribute to the GDP of Nigeria. Instead of that, they are gallivanting with the president. It doesn't make sense. As a matter of fact, there is no justification for that. Mr. President is showing bad example. What he's telling us, in effect, is that if you're a governor, you can travel with your family at the expense of the state. If you're a minister, travel with your family, your in-laws, and whoever you can get to accompany you at the expense of the ministry. It doesn't work like that. But people are watching to see what he does. It's what he does that others will take a cue from and know what to do.
But Mr. Larry, supporters of the president have actually said that, decisions like this, especially traveling with a family member, for leaders, soften their public image in the public. So possibly this is the president trying to soften his public image, so it doesn't seem like, oh, I'm very, very official. I have my family members as well.
No, that argument doesn't hold water. We are not discussing softening images now. I mean, he doesn't have minors in his home. These are adults. These are full-blown adults who should be leading companies, who should be doing things to contribute to the success of their father. I'll be honest with you, if I'm one of these Yinka Oshei guys, I won't do the journey. I would rather travel elsewhere. If the man wants them to travel, he has his own private jet. He has money. They can go wherever they want to go, not at the expense of the state, and not putting the family and the presidents in this kind of situation where everybody will be paying everything.
I understand that a lot of people are bashing the president for this decision, but looking at world leaders, he is not the only world leader who has done this as well. We've had other presidents of the world travel with their close allies who are their family members.
Simeon, please.
The likes of Erdogan,
I think it's important.
Turkey president, he was at an international summit where he was there with his son, and in that case we saw him being handed a cup of water by one of his security details. He refused it until his son gave him the cup of water. That was when he took it and drank it at a public event. So this also shows that.
Can I say something, Simon? I think it's very important that we begin to stop these people who are trying to deceive us with crooked thinking and very crooked arguments. Let me tell you something. I don't like the fact that when you want to compare democracy in Nigeria and democracy in United States, they will explain to you that they have practiced democracy in the US for more than 200 years. So you shouldn't compare. It doesn't make sense to me when you now begin to ask, if I cannot compare because of 200 years, I ask a simple question. How come you want to imitate their president in having a private jet? How come you want to imitate the president in traveling with family members. Meanwhile, they'll travel with a minor. You'll travel with a full-blown adult who should be doing something somewhere else, and who's not contributing to your entourage. Assuming Sheyi or Yinka are successful business persons, and they have a responsible personnel, that is, Nigerians know them as responsible, independent businessmen, and they are going there. I mean, if, like I said, I'm one of these guys and I have my resources, if I want to go there, I will go there on my own. And it will manifest I'm going on my own. I'll take a first class ticket, go to Qatar, and join whatever I want to do. We need to get to that level where we need to realize that these comparisons are not appropriate. Nigerians who say that we are not mature, listen carefully. They say we are not mature like United States, so we shouldn't compare. We can't compare ourselves with the West. But go and check the vehicles they are using. Our presidential fleet is more than the presidential fleet of the United Kingdom. The countries that we say we can't compare to, we borrow bad things. That is, well, not really bad things. We borrow good things they do and exaggerate them beyond the imagination. That is, we borrow good things. Okay, the president should be able to travel comfortably so that he can meet the needs of the nation and we don't look like a beggarly nation. Okay, fine. But then we don't bloat it and have 10 aeroplanes in our fleet. So people go to watch football matches and watch polo with our presidential fleet. And then when we want to now talk about things, we say, no, we shouldn't compare the way they hold the elections, that they are 200, we are still 10 years. But we borrow the vehicles, we borrow the palatial mansions. We want to build a brand new house for our vice president, which they won't do in those other countries. If you come in, you can refurbish the existing house and live in it. Why am I saying this? Some of these comparisons that they try to use to confuse us and confound us should stop. But if they don't want to stop it, we should stop them. There is no amount of argument or explanation that will make me subscribe to the fact that a president will take 2 adult sons, not 1 adult son, 2 adult sons who are not going to make any contribution to the trip. I stand to be corrected, because they would have told us that Sheyi is going for this reason, that Yinka is going for that reason. They didn't tell us that. They didn't say they are going to make any contributions. They didn't say that they are going to add any value to the trip. They just told us that he's taking them so that they will do tourism, so that they will see the world, they will get exposure. At what age? If they don't have exposure now, when are they going to get it? So what if Tinubu didn't win? Wouldn't they have exposure? What kind of lame stories are they telling us? I think we need to get some of these people who are supposed to be the image makers of Mr. President to actually stop damaging his image. If you want to make image, you either shut up or you find a sound argument. But most importantly, I'll tell you the truth. That's why it's difficult for people like me to actually do these jobs. Because if I'm the aide of a president, I will not just be there to clean up his mess. I will also suggest to him, Oga, when you do this, it makes our job difficult. You should
I thought you wanted to say
we shouldn't do. Okay. But because we don't want to lose these jobs where we are overpaid, we don't talk. If I'm the public relations manager of a CEO, I will tell my Oga, this is a public relations manager's nightmare. Oga, don't do this. We can't survive it. Okay. But we are not talking. We would rather just defend them. So you wake up in the morning, carry your chair and start tweeting nonsense. Basically because there are people who will listen to you and then we talk about it on newspaper review. Okay. And the person will feel, they will be laughing about the fact that we're even discussing it now. That because they don't really care. They don't care. So I think that is a lame duck excuse, and we should make it clear. I mean, I thank God for what Voice of the People is doing with some other media houses. We should make it clear to Mr. President that this is not acceptable. Sheyi and Yinka are adults. They should have their own businesses and their lives. If they want to go to the moon, they can go at their expense, but they shouldn't follow Mr. President around at the expense of Nigerians. They may even be distracting him, for all I know, because they have not told us what value they are adding. And if you are not adding value, you are actually reducing value.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Let's move on to the El-Rufai's report. Reps have raised a 23-man panel to review that particular report. The House of Reps on Thursday, they described that particular report as outdated and then called on the president to thoroughly review it before going ahead to implement it. They now raised a 23-man committee chaired by House Leader Julius to recommend appropriate measures to help mitigate the likely fallout of that particular report. Just how important is this committee?
And one thing I can say clearly is that the House of Reps is doing what Mr. President should have done. It is this attitude of playing to the gallery and taking decisions probably just to impress people and not looking at the details that got us here with fuel subsidy and the floating of the naira. While a Rosan report is a good idea, one would have expected that if you consider that this was done more than 10 years ago, that it's largely obsolete. If you are looking at a little above 500 MDAs when it was done, and they are looking at almost 3 times that number now, you should have thought about the fact that, okay, I want to do this. So the question becomes, I want to deal with the Rosa report. So the question becomes, how should I do it? They look at the recommendations. How do I review it and adapt those recommendations to now? What are the critical issues now? What's the number we are dealing with now? And beyond MDAs, how else do we save costs in governance? How do we not only save costs? How do we have efficient the governance? How do we look at not just costs but efficiency in managing our governance? Let me tell us something. Sorry, I'll digress for a second. I remind us that it's not about just streamlining MDAs. We live in a country where sometimes if a governor is traveling, 6 commissioners will follow the governor. They will burn fuel. Their personal assistants will follow them. They will get allowances for traveling for nothing because they are not going with the governor because the governor's trip is something related to their ministry. They are just going because they want to be one of the boys. So when 6 commissioners follow the governor, for me, the most painful aspect is that the commissioner will not be in his office to do his work. So people like me and you will go to the office to see the commissioner to have conversations about things that bother us. And they say the man is not on seat. That's the usual language. And then where did he go to? He went for a funeral with the governor. So you see 6 commissioners, 8 commissioners going for a funeral with the governor. Are they undertakers? They should be working, not going for. I mean, if the governor has a personal reason to go for a funeral, he should go alone and with family members. Maybe if Tinubu was going to Qatar for a personal thing like a condolence visit or a personal friend's party, he can go with his sons. I understand that. But if you are going for a state visit and then a commissioner goes with a governor, 10 ministers accompany the president when they are not going to make contributions, that is also wastage. Wastage is not only when you waste direct cash. When you waste man hours, that is even more critical. Man hours, that is people who should be working, they will be gallivanting all over the place. These are the things we should be looking at beyond streamlining the MDAs and getting them to function properly. We should also look at the details, how we waste time and money in this country. I'm glad that somebody is reminding Mr. President that it's not just about saying, oh, Rosa report, because people have been talking about it. So it's a good thing to throw into the mix to get us to think that Mr. President is thinking. For me, really, why I wasn't impressed with all that is because if you want to streamline cost of governance, you should start from the low-hanging fruit. Start from your office. Start from things that you have direct influence on. Implement your own policies. You just told us the other day that you have reduced the number of people that travel. You just increased it again. But I thank God that the House is saying, let us look at it now. I hope that Mr. President will also listen to the House because, these stamps, they don't have so much influence anymore. But at least they are talking, and I hope the President will take a cue and do a comprehensive review and discover the spirit of the Rosa report, the spirit, not just the letter, and then use it to look at what is happening now and how we can get the best out of that report and we implement.
All right, let's move on to Lagos State, where the president yesterday launched the Lagos Red Rail Line. He did that yesterday, and it's a historic rail line, and it will be moving about 250,000 passengers that would be transported through the route of Oyingbo to Agbado. That particular area, it's a journey that takes usually 2 to 3 hours. In Lagos State, it will be taking 1 hour to get from one end to the other end. What exactly is your take on this, especially in light of the fact that we don't even have governors themselves launching their own rail lines in Nigeria? They're not even doing anything towards getting or even starting some rail line projects within intercity, right, within their own states.
It's a good idea. It's an idea that is overdue. I almost said that it's an idea whose time has come, but actually, I mean, it was long overdue. I mean, it's a shame that Lagos is talking about a rail system at this time with all the money. I mean, Lagos is wealthier than many nations in Africa. Lagos as a state is wealthier than many nations in Africa. How it is that Lagos is just launching the first, that is taking seriously the rail project in the last few years is a surprise. But then, like I always say, better late than never. Now they have started. What I'm expecting is that not just that other state governors will take a cue. I mean, Rivers State wanted to do a rail and even started way back when Rotimi Amechi was there. But I think corruption and political controversies took care of that project. But these are things that have done long ago. By now, we should have been moving to interstate rail line. You know, we should be looking at not just having rail lines in Lagos, but how would the rail lines connect to Ogun State? And we should be able to create loops. In the Southeast, for instance, we should have a rail line that should connect not only the city, but you should have a rail line connecting Enugu to Oka, to Onitsha, to Owerri. That is, we have a loop, and that loop will change the economy of the whole region. So the governor shouldn't even be thinking in isolation, in silos. Like one of the rail lines is going to Abot at Ogun State, which is a good idea. So if Lagos is looking at development just beyond their borders, because a lot of people who come to work in Lagos don't live in Lagos State. A lot of people who do business in neighboring states actually bring their goods to Lagos to sell. So they should be thinking of integrated development. So the governors of these states that are joining to Lagos should also be talking with Lagos. So how do we extend the rail service to the extent that beyond maybe having an internal rail service at Ibadan, for instance, how do we connect that rail service such that you can move from your local rail station to the station that takes you from Ibadan to Lagos? You know, we should begin to develop rail infrastructure on a serious note. And rail shouldn't be focused on moving people. As a matter of fact, globally, now interstate rail systems actually move more goods than passengers. In fact, there are rail lines that are dedicated to the movement of specific commodities outside. So we need to begin to focus on the rail system. Thank God that Lagos has broken the chains. Rivers would have done it long ago, but they didn't. And this is a challenge to Rivers State, especially. They have a lot of problems with traffic and they have the money to do it. So they should wake up. Kano State should wake up. There are states that have the resources, but I suspect that's why a lot of governors don't do it, because when you do projects that are capital intensive, maybe you don't have too much money left to tamper with. So sometimes they prefer to do cheap, over-bloated projects like building ecumenical centers, which is in vogue in some southern states, where somebody will build a church with 30 billion. I don't understand it.
Honorable Larry, off your mic. Don't come for my state, thank you. Anyway, let's move away.
Sorry, I didn't remember.
Anyway, you talked about Kano State, but there is a recent development in Kano State that is in the news this morning. And of course, on Daily Trust, if you look at the bottom of the paper, the cover, you see the headline that is boldly written, and it says, Kano governor faults Hisbah's operation on immorality. Kano governor faults Hisbah's operation on immorality. Apparently, Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf of Kano State has now expressed dissatisfaction with how Hisbah's operation Kauda Badala is being carried out across the state. And basically what this means is the operation name is surrounded, goes around immorality, how to stamp out immorality from Kano State. And speaking the Kano State Government House on Thursday, while the governor was having a meeting with some imams, he actually made a statement, and he said he saw a video that disrupted his peace as the governor. And according to him, he said, Hisbah men, they parked the cars, went to where male and female were doing unholy things. They were picked up and beaten with bamboo sticks while they took to their heels. And according to him, he said these individuals were being packed up inside vehicles like animals. And the governor is saying he thinks this is a big mistake. for them to hold an adult and throw them into a hillocks like a goat. And of course, he has told them to look at their mode of operation, that this doesn't feel right at all. This is the same, Hisbah back in 2022 destroyed over 3.8 million bottles of alcohol. So, this has raised concerns, especially in the northern part of the country and the operation of this Hisbah. What do you have to say about it?
One of the things that we have not been able to manage in Nigeria is one of the things I've not been able to manage is the diversity in religion and diversity in tribe. It's not healthy for our leaders not to understand the essence of the concept of the rule of law. The concept of the rule of law exists so that every other thing, our sentiments, our emotions, and all of that will be subjected to the control of the law. That is why the Constitution says that this Constitution is supreme and shall have a binding force on all persons and institutions. That's the first statement in the Constitution, Section 1, subsection 1, says that it has a binding force. It's binding on everybody by force, not by appeal. And then it goes ahead to say that any law that is inconsistent with the provisions of this Constitution shall, to the extent of the inconsistency, be null and void. That's sub 3. Now, what it's saying is that you don't wake up in a country that has a written constitution and behave in ways that fly in the face of the Constitution. Now, why am I laying this foundation? While Hisbah may be promoting morality and all of that, they should be sensitive to the fact that Nigeria is actually a secular state. Nigeria is a state that is run by the rule of law. We have a Nigerian constitution that prescribes how Nigeria should be run. And what you call morality in your own faith, that is religious faith, may not be morality to me. As a matter of fact, I understand, I was told by somebody who claimed he has experienced it, that he has been to a part of Nigeria where his friend actually chose to host him by asking his wife to keep him company in the night. I don't know if it is true, but they say it's a tradition of a particular ethnic group in this country. To some people, they say it is immoral. To them, it is a way of life. Now, why am I saying this? We need to draw the lines. We don't run states on the basis of our religious disposition. We need to understand that if you have Hisbah and all of those religious police institutions, they should focus on policing people who subscribe to their faith. That is what Nigeria as a nation recommends. You cannot impose Muslim laws on me. You cannot impose Muslim morality on me. I'm discussing the law now, and I'm not discussing sentiment. You are not supposed to impose your morality or your practices on me. And as a Christian, you don't also impose your way of life on other persons. It's a matter of live and let live, and the referee is the Constitution. So we need to get to that point where governors take a cue from the governor of Kano State by respecting human rights. But beyond respecting human rights, by saying that people shouldn't be thrown into vehicles like that, he should go the extra mile to review the operations of Hisbah totally. For instance, if you don't drink alcohol in Kano State, we respect that right and that decision not to drink alcohol. But it is not proper in a nation that is secular to restrict others from drinking alcohol in Kano State, because the Constitution makes it clear that you have these rights everywhere in Nigeria. So we need to get to that point where we enthrone the rule of law, not the rule of religion or the rule of ethnicity or the rule of sentiments or the rule of emotions. As long as we don't understand the concept of the rule of law, we cannot operate a democracy. But kudos for even thinking about human rights at all. But I think you should stretch it and begin to think of how Hisbah operates when it especially affects people who do not subscribe to the Islamic faith. They should draw the line somewhere. I mean, the law concerning Islam should actually apply to Muslims. That is what our Constitution expects, not to everybody. I think that is important.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Larry, for joining the conversation this morning. Our time is fast spent. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's my pleasure and privilege. And Simon Peters, I'm talking about your state. Maybe we'll have a conversation some other day. Your state should do a rail that will connect Uyo to Aba, because a lot of your people go to Aba to buy things. So rather than build that our edifice, that money should have been better spent on the but I'm not coming for you. We'll talk about
we'll go to the edifice to pray so that there will be money to build the trade. That's why we need to pray first for the
okay, so you pray, so the money will come. Then
yes,
you
let's
cannot
go
do the
yes, that's because we deal with prayers. Exactly.
I should say amen to that prayer when you finish praying. I say loud amen.
Have a great morning. Anyway, it's been an interesting conversation. Guess I know you're laughing because I said we have to pray. You know, in my state, we pray first.
You pray a lot,
and then things are being put in place in a spiritual
you're even
realm.
building new, churches.
It is in my state that you see a plaza. And by the left side of the plaza there's Redeem, in the middle you see Winners, down here you see Bo, and then you look at the other far right, you see Romeo's International Church. You know, one plaza, different churches at the same time. You don't even know what to do, but it's still a good one. Akwa Ibom people are very religious people, but sometimes I just hope we can go beyond religion and sentiment and do the right thing. Exactly.
All right, thank you so much for listening to Front Page Review right here on Voice of the People 96.1 FM. By the way, happy new month to you and yours.
Catch you.
Yes, we will catch you.